Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Hanna van Aelst. I'm a basket maker and I make all sorts of things from willow, functional, sculptural stuff and living willow structures as well. And I teach, so I teach in person and I teach online. I have an online class completely set up to take you through all the steps in basket making, from round work to oval work to square work. And stay tuned because at the end of this video I will be announcing a new class. So in this video I want to show you an update of the living willow structures that I made in 2022, I think it was, in February and March. So that's, at this stage, is like 2.5 years ago. And a lot of people said they wanted to see how they were doing. So 2.5 years ago, when I was making the structures, I filmed myself and I made 2 videos, one showing different kind of structures, and then the second one went into a little bit more detail of how I built them. So if you want to see those, I leave a link in the description for you to find them. So this video is kind of a little bit of a recap on how they were doing, what happened. And at the end of the video I will answer a few kind of common questions that I get asked all the time about living willow structures. Enjoy! This was the structure in 2022, just after I put it down. With every structure I put in, I give instructions on how to maintain a living willow structure, and this one was the same. To allow a living willow structure to establish itself, there needs to be put some kind of a mulch in place to stop any competition between weeds and the willow that is trying to put down roots. So I would always suggest some kind of bark mulch or any kind of other mulch that is available. This is the structure as I found it 2 years later. So it looked very much overgrown. No mulch was put down, so the weeds have completely grown through the roots of the willow. Some of the willow is still alive and actually looking quite well, but there are patches definitely where the willow has died. And the main dome here in the front actually collapsed due to some vandalism. People had started climbing on it. This is a structure then in the winter, after all the leaves had dropped, and this is when me and Lauren, my assistant, started working on this to bring it back to life, really. So we started by pulling the weeds away from the roots. And this was mostly grass. There was some briars in there as well. But it was mainly just to clean up around the roots. So this is what it looked like, all cleaned up. Lauren in action. Then it was time to plant some more willow in the gaps that had died. We basically just used freshly harvested rods, 1-year-old rods, and that were built a structure with, the same variety of Viminalis. We pushed them into the ground and then wove them into the existing structure. And once that was done, then we started by weaving in the willow ends that had grown, and to make the structure stronger. And this is something that you would do every year in a structure to maintain it and to make it grow stronger and thicker. Then it was time for some serious shoveling. We moved 2 tons of bark mulch to put around the roots and into the whole structure to suppress weeds. 6 months later, I went back to have a look at how the structure was doing. Overall, the willow looked very healthy and happy. There was some regrowth around the roots, but not as much as before, and that will have to be tidied up every year in winter again. This little patch had some struggle, and we might have to fill that in a little bit more again. But overall it looks really healthy. And this was 2022 again, in a different park where I put another structure in. Had a tunnel going into a dome. With a small tunnel and a small dome to the side of it. This is what it looked like in its second year's growth. This looks really healthy. It had been very well maintained. The grass around it had been kept low, and mulching had happened as well. There's some really nice new shoots on it that can be woven back in winter time. They even put some tree trunks down for kids to sit on, or parents. And this structure will only get more solid and will bulk up as it grows and matures. In 2022 I also put in a living willow arch in a private garden. I basically built a structure and then wove some living willow rods around that structure. This is in a private garden and I don't have access, I can't go and look at it whenever I want. But I have been maintaining it every winter and it has been doing really well. There was a small amount of growth in the first year, and the second year there was more growth. And every winter I go back and weave in last year's growth into the structure. So one of the most common questions that I get asked on the video about living willow structures is what variety are you using? So the variety I prefer using is called Viminalis. There are many different kinds of Viminalis varieties. The one I use is also referred to sometimes as goldenrod or continental. It is a variety that's not perfect for basket making. It is a little bit soft on the inside, so the pith is kind of soft. That means it can kink in all the different places when you're weaving with it. But for a living willow structure, it does really well. For the main reason is that it grows vigorously, but not too vigorously, and it is easy and bendy and easy to work with. But you could use any kind of willow, really. It doesn't really matter that much. The only thing that I would think about is go for a variety that is not too vigorous, because when it is very vigorous, it can take over. So that means that your structure will grow so much that you find it very hard to maintain and to weave it back in every time in winter time. And then also you don't want the very fragile varieties. Maybe stay away from a purpurea variety. They grow a little bit less vigorous, and because the structure is kind of built with rods very close together, some of those might struggle because of the competition that's happening there. So those are the kind of 2 pointers, but you could use albas, you could use triandras, and all of those I have added in structures and in living fences. It's just my preferred one is Viminalis, because it just really seems to do well in this climate where I am. The other question I get asked too is a weeping willow a good variety for weaving or for building structures? It is not good for weaving. Weeping willow seems to snap easily and quickly, and it's also very hard to dry out and then re-soak. For living willow structures, it wouldn't work either, because the weeping willow doesn't make the strong rods that you're looking for. So what is the spacing between the rods that I push into the ground? I tend to go for somewhere around 20 centimeters, 8 inches. And when you look at the video, you can see that I push 2 rods into the one hole. And in the dome structures, there's even a third one in the center as well, the one that goes across. So there's 3 rods in one hole in that case. And then 20 centimeters between those holes. But again, you know, this is just a guideline. This is not like black and white thing. You can really experiment and do your own thing. And another question was, and how do I start if I want to build a living willow fence or a dome or a structure? Where do I start? And I think you either have to go look for rods or you have to start growing your own rods. It's usually not very easy to find living willow rods. I personally don't sell them. I just sell the cuttings or the shorter pieces of willow for planting, because I can't post long rods. So if you are interested in making your own living willow fence, look for some willow cuttings, look for willow growers in your area, contact them, look for basket making organizations, get in touch with them and see who can help you out. And then the last question was asked how to stop deer from eating the fence. We have a lot of deer here, and they do nibble on the fence, but have never eaten it away completely. So in your area it might be different. It depends on what other forage there is for deer. But I found it's not an issue for the fence because the main kind of growth is at the top. And so deer can't really reach that top, so they'll never really kill the plants. But if that is an issue, if deer are starting to maybe strip the bark from your rods, then you might have to look at, you know, putting maybe some kind of electric fence around it, or yeah, try to distract them in any other way you can. But why we built the willow fence was mainly to keep the deer out or away from the actual willow beds that we use for basket making rods. And they were not very high, so they were kind of at a 2-foot height, and deer were completely eating all the young shoots and killing plants because they couldn't grow. So that's why we put the fence around it, and that really helped. So the fence kept kind of hid the willow that was growing on the other side, so visually the deer couldn't see what was behind it, and they stopped actually, you know, they never tried to break through the fence or try to get through it because they couldn't see what was behind it. So hope this is helpful. If you have any more questions, leave them below the video and I'll try and get back to them. I have a little announcement to make. I have made a new course. The new course is called Growing and Preparing Basket Willow. So it's a complete guide for growing, preparing and harvesting your willow for basket making. So if this is something that you think you might be interested in, you might want to grow your own willow eventually for basket making, I would suggest you go and have a look. I will leave a link below as well. It's on my website called Growing and Preparing Basket Willow. It's currently at a low price of €75, but it will eventually be more expensive. The course is mainly a written course. There's a few pictures and some video content in there as well, just to kind of have a visual of what I'm talking about. I really explore the issues of harvesting, varieties, how to plant, site selection, all the different kind of things, what I think you should know when you want to start your own willow beds. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.